to patch a piece, you're going to need a piece of fabric that is just a bit bigger than 1/4 of an inch. Some people have 1/4 of an inch on the sidewall. It really doesn't matter. The beauty of English paper piecing is that you don't have to be accurate when you're cutting out. For example, if you're cutting out for a 5-sided template, even this sort of rather lopsided, freely cut piece is going to be just fine. You want to put your card on the wrong side of the fabric and place it so you've got enough turning all the way around the edge, and then you pin it in the center to secure that. Now I always make sure that I get the grain running in the right direction, so the grain of the fabric is actually aligned with the edge that I want on my pattern piece. You're going to start near one corner. Some patterns actually require that you start stitching in the middle, but in this case I'm just putting it through, just a nice big tacking stitch with my contrasting thread. My paper sewing needle, turn over the corner, and I tack through that corner and up out the other side. So I'm very keeping that nice and neat and flush to the card on the inside. Turn the corner over, and again again we turn the last corner over here with this running stitch, and when we come to the very end corner we want to fold that in that side and then the top over, and a quick tacking stitch through the middle and out the back is usually enough. To hold that in place. That with scissors, take the pin out, and that's ready for you to patch pieces together. Okay, that's that one. When you've finished your piece, you'll notice how nice and neat and trim that is to the shape. It's very precise geometrically, so whatever design you're using, you've got a very high degree of precision in your finish of your work. Now, when you've finished one, you can then play around and join shapes together and have a wonderful time just trying out and auditioning all sorts of ideas for designs. But when you're actually ready to sew, and you've got several pieces ready, you're going to put the two right sides together, and you're going to match up the corners very carefully. The first corner is the one that you match up to start with, and you get it absolutely perfect. You take your sewing thread, which coordinates with the colours that you've got, and you make sure that you've got a knot on the end, and you slide it up underneath so that it comes out near the top near the end. And then you very carefully stitch the two ends together. And you're going to use what's called a whipping stitch, which means it's going over and over, but you're only catching the very edge of the fabric. Now when you start, you want to put 2 stitches more or less in the same place for security, and then as you work further along, you're going to pick up the edge, carefully stitch right the way along. The more you do, the more practice you get, the quicker this usually becomes. And I haven't got my correct glasses on here, so I'm just guessing. So you're going to continue right the way along to the end. Now when you get about halfway along, you're going to stop and you're going to make sure that the ends are perfectly matched, that they're going to fit perfectly together. If they don't, you can usually adjust and ease them by either stretching or moving them a little bit in one way direction gradually so that they perfectly match when you finish sewing the line. So you can finish all the way along there, and when you reach the end you're going to do a double stitch in the same place, and then those two will be beautifully finished and joined together. And if you use very small delicate stitches you will hardly be able to see where you've done the sewing.